Welcome home to Eden, where you are flowing with your feminine energy and your masculine energy is learning how to contain the feminine, and you are learning that you are divine right now. Like, you are just enough. Whatever, things that are going on that aren't working are just part of the divine story of guidance for you. And so it's okay. I made a video that said that why women often prefer African American and Latin lovers. And I got some guys writing in saying, this is extremely racist. Like, how could you say this? My grandfathers and fathers are good men, and you're acting like they aren't included in the story. And I don't want you to feel that way at all. Like, the thing is, even a really good man can be clueless about the feminine. Even a really wonderful grandfather can have been part of the slave industry in some indirect way, or direct way, and be wonderful to his family and cruel to his workers. We have a lot of factory owners who are like that. They're wonderful providers, loving husbands, and absolutely brutal to the people who are making them all that money. So I do feel that as white men, it's important to stand back and both not take it personally, but also take it personally. Like, you don't need to be so thin-skinned that you can't take a little bit of feedback. So if I share with you why it is African American men and Latin men are pleasuring women in a different way, the point is not to make you feel inadequate or ill-equipped. The whole point is to put the power back in your hands so that you can go, oh, we're all connected. All of our DNA is in every country is connected, and we all learn from each other, and we all have gifts that are different. We see the woman from a different angle, and we have a different thing to give her, each one of us. If you're committed to your woman, you're the man. You are the man. When you make that commitment and you are the one making a life with her, you're the man. But to get so distraught that I'm even talking about this, saying that it's racist, I do feel that white men need to be able to receive what they are dishing out in spades. So, like, the amount of racism that the white men have put out into the world is so heavy, it's so toxic, and it's so constant that to receive a little bit of it yourself would be a good thing, so that you can understand what it's like to to have some options that are doors that are closing on you. Now, we don't want to say that your doors are ever closing to be with women in a great way, in the greatest way possible for you. Of course, all beings are created equal. Well, different but equal, right? Really different but equal. So here you go. You've got, it's so hard to talk about. Racism is so toxic, like, if you imagined what it would be like if you were born brown skinned and for whatever reason your school was now crummy because you were part of that neighborhood, and it was so crummy that there was violence and not enough real education going on, and there was poverty, and then even though you make it through that, you do your best with your grades, you got no job options, and people won't allow you to rent good apartments, and all because of your skin color. Like, then what's available? The only available, you still have to eat, you still need heat, so then what's available? Okay, either the sex industry or drug industry, and then you have it set up so that then if you get into either of those, you'll be arrested, then you'll be put in jail, and then they can make you work for no pay for their companies and take away your vote for the rest of your life, and on top of that, your vote's gone, and it's on your record that you got in jail. And then you see, the whole thing was set up by white men because they wanted they wanted workers, slaves in the factories to work for almost nothing so that they could get rich, just like in the fields. Um, and they wanted, they're so jealous and insecure that they wanted to put the beautiful African American and Latin guy, other, men of color away so that they didn't have them take their wives away. And now you have the Daka movement where white men are actually paying African American men to be their women's lovers because what? They're so used to outsourcing things? No, I think there's an ultimate healing in there. Is it because the African American man gets his ultimate revenge because now he's the white guy, he's satisfying the white guy's wife and she's dreaming about him instead of her husband? No, I think that's actually, there's a healing going on in that relationship where there's a recognition in these movements that are happening where, if you get out of your jealousy and your insecurity, you get to have this huge gift of those the powers and the artistry of other cultures, of these brown skin cultures that have been people of color put in jail. All of those gifts, we didn't get to get those gifts from them. 30 years, 20 years, lifetime imprisonment for what? Smoking pot, a terrible fight that never should have gotten that bad, dealing drugs when there was no other jobs. Like these amazing people who had no other options end up in jail. And we miss out on all their gifts, all these years, all their beauty, all of their artistry, everything that you would have received from them. So to get yourself out of the jealousy and the insecurity is really important because you don't need to be so insecure. You're great. You're sufficient. You're beautiful. You have your gifts to offer that those other men don't because they're not you. You are a divine being, And when we open up to learning from each other, like my mother always used to say, when you're jealous of somebody, it shows you what you want. Like go towards that, like create that thing that you don't have right now. That jealousy serves as this wonderful gift because it shows you, I want to get there. And certainly if you look at the lover abilities of people who are able to last longer or able to pleasure their women really easily, and you're like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? Like I've got everything these guys got. Well, you do, but you're not using it in the same way. And mainly it has to do, I would say, with foreplay that's emotional and spiritual before even getting to her body. And then once she's with her body, it has to do with a focus that's different than focus on yourself. It's complete focus on her in a way of appreciation and adoration, which many of the white men have lost because they're so destroyed by pornography being all about teenage girls and stick figure bodies. Whereas the African man is actually, and the Latin guys that I know of all these different cultures, and I know it sounds so racist the way I'm talking too. I don't know how to speak about this stuff, but I'm hoping it's helpful. They love women's bodies. Women's, not girls' or children's bodies. It's women's, like curviness, the extra fat, even older women's bodies. They love women, like love them. So when actual love comes at you as a woman, actual attraction versus a head trip, like I guess she's okay, she's not as good as the model I usually masturbate to, or I wish she wore a little bit more makeup, or no, she's fine, she's my wife, and look at what I can do for her. It's like not even about us. Like it's not a turn on. The turn on is when there's actual interest in our smells and our touch and our sensual nature and our laughter and our emotionality and our romantic proclivities. So if the white guy is so trained to be all about power and working, he won't even know how to flirt anymore. He won't know how to make her feel loved throughout the day through his texts. And these are things you can learn. The reason I'm talking about this is because I want you men, all of you men of every race, I want you to be better with women. I want you to have more fun with them. I want you to give us more pleasure. We are in a deficit. Many of us women, my age especially, my age group, have never had full-on um, sensual pleasure. Like we will go years and years. We'll like, for me, like 16 years with somebody who I didn't even know what I was missing because I never had it. These white guys, they won't even be interested. Like they're like, you're kissing wrong, or you gained 5 pounds, or and they'll make it about us, that us women are the problem. Whereas my Latin boyfriends, when they're like, they got these word flowers, like, hey, ooh, you're so beautiful, and oh, I can't wait to, and I got it. I know what I'm gonna do with you, and but they're not doing it in this way that makes a woman feel demeaned, at least the ones that I would date. They're doing it along with interest in her mind, interest in her life, interest in what she's thinking about, real deep conversations that are creatively inspiring. And so that when he goes into the flirtatious words, it's fun because we feel honored as a whole human being. We're not compartmentalized. And that's the problem with our sometimes the wonderful white men that we adore and are dedicated to. Will be like, it's a feeling of a lack of imagination. And when the woman says, well, look, I need more of this or that, he'll say, well, sorry, I don't do that. That's not my specialty. This is just who I am. No interest in, like in Peru, where the idea is to be a man, you can pleasure the feminine. Like, to be a man, that's how you know you're a man, is how good you are at that. So if your masculinity could just shift around a little bit, like, there are terrible things that have happened to the Caucasian man, in terms of telling him he can't have feelings, not giving him any chances to dance or be artistic unless he's gay, even then, not letting him be expressive or emotional, shaming you for your emotions. See, these are all the things that the women really crave. They really crave a man who is emotionally feminine. He has an emotional depth and a sensuality that's in touch with the five senses and his own inner feminine. That's why women are so turned on by gay men. And that's why, somebody like Biden right now, I'm just really taken by Vice President Biden, in terms of his amazing mixture of very strong masculine with a really deep feminine spirit inside there as well. It's a whole being. The feeling I get from him is, wow, this man is whole. He's got all of it going on. So when we talk about the African American man, mainly I'm going to speak there because some of my friends, you have people who've gone through really intense racism that they've had to just learn how to deal with without malice, to allow to roll by. They've dealt with hardships in their families that you can't even imagine, and they've made it through, and they've gotten to the other side. And this is all depth of character stuff, which creates the inner feminine. Because we know girls, as girls, we're made to be polite and to sublimate our needs from a very young age. That cookie that we're not allowed to ask for because it's rude and impolite, we worked on that from a young age. We suffered over all kinds of things that we weren't allowed to say and express in order to show that we cared about other people. And a lot of the entitlement in the white guy world has to do with not being made to suffer as children enough to have awareness of other people. And then this is a deficit because it'll be like a self-consciousness. Now, of course, I'm talking so generically and so broadly. Like there's plenty of you guys out there who have suffered and who have taken care of your siblings without parents there to help you, and who have, had sisters, and you are incredible lovers. You don't need any help at all. But whether or not you are a totally complete person with your inner masculine and feminine very developed, it still is a wonderful thing to learn from other cultures, celebrate their greatness without jealousy, and without the need to, you know, get people out of the way so that, you know, mass incarceration, mass exportation, so that you don't have to be afraid about losing your woman. Look, grow your self-love, because you're never going to be in danger. If you're with a woman who loves you, you're going to be fine. You're going to deepen with her. You're going to express your heart, and you can learn from those that you admire instead of feeling like they threaten you. Then they become your brothers, like each other's brothers, helping each other get jobs, helping each other, you know, love your women better, helping each other to find a place to be emotional, that you can lean on your brother's shoulder and cry, you know, beautiful. Okay. So that's why I made that video, and it was not meant to be an insult or to say that you cannot have, do, and be what anybody else can. It was simply to sort of put a bee in your bonnet. Like, if I get you white guys to feel the sting of racism a little bit, I think that it's actually important, because it's that empathy, it's that compassion that's going to wake us up to do prison reform. And we have to do prison reform, because you can't put, you know, over all the imprisonment all over the world, of the entire world, the US has 25% of all the people in prison in the whole world. It's just in the US. It's like something like 1 out of 3 of men of color. Like, it's an obvious new kind of slavery that is meant to serve the white man. So that has to be faced. Like, you've got to get on the page of slavery's not okay. It's using other people is not okay. Like, capitalism, it's not okay, because capitalism's based on you take more than you give, whereas success in business is okay. To be a bountiful man, this little feather blows up, to be a bountiful man who can provide for his family and fly all over the world and help, you know, other charities, and, you know, dress in a gorgeous suit, and that's great. Like, as bountiful as you want to be, through helping and joining with and giving more than you take. See, so the whole thing about the guys in prison having their votes taken and their labor taken without paying them, it's obvious slavery, and it's conveniently set up with the exact same things they're in there for that white guys do, only with the white guys don't get those sentences. And so when it comes to prison reform, now we're into prison reform, and the jealousy of, it's like, no, we don't want to let those guys out of jail, because then they'll come take our wives, and then all the women will go for them. Well, why would you love yourself so little to think that your woman doesn't love you enough? Like, why would you think that you're not you know, able to learn some new skills that would give you a cutting edge that would make all the women swoon over you, or at least your own wife, like, so thankful for you?